We wanted to investigate why there are so many vape shops in Leighton Buzzard.
And why aren't there more fun stuff for kids? We started our investigation by looking around in town.
Blackberry Close, Lloyd's Pharmacy, Taxi, oh yeah, Taxi, People,
Swan Hotel.
Oh, Weatherspoons, Pug.
So in the town centre there could be more shops for kids, because in the shops there's not a lot of clothes that fit all types of kids.
Some things we'd want to see here in this empty shop is maybe like a ball pit, a couple slides, sweets, M&Ms, and like a rainbow place. Bread! Oh, yummy.
Bread.
Donuts!
For kids, they like sweets, toys, and such and such. You can't get most of that in the town.
Well, I think that I like it a lot, but it could be a bit improved with more child-friendly stuff.
We wanted to know why town is the way it is. So we went to speak to the Chief Executive of the Central Bedfordshire Council and asked him our questions. Has anyone complained about the number of vape shops?
So people have complained about the number of vape shops, and as a council, along with lots of other councils in the whole country, we've complained to the government about not so much the number of vape shops, but the fact that they seem to be trying to attract children to use them.
Why are there so many empty shops in the town centre?
The biggest reason of all, and this is again not just in Leighton Buzzard but it's everywhere, is that the way people shop has changed. So lots more people buy their things on the internet, whereas they used to buy them from shops in the high street.
Why aren't there more things for kids in the town centre?
First of all, I think there's quite a lot of things for kids to do in Leighton Buzzard. There's lots of sports clubs, and we're building a brand new leisure centre. But in the town centre, it's mostly owned by private companies, and they decide what they think will make money. And so if they can think of something for kids that will make them, to pay the rent and pay the electricity bills, pay their staff, then they might open some of those things. But it's not really in the council's control.
Do you think we could make any of the following things, yes or no? A zip line?
No.
An infinite ball pit?
Yes, although I'm not really sure what one is.
A sweet shop?
If it was down to me, yes.
I found Marcel's answers good but confusing, because he said that he thought there was enough kids stuff like sports, but not everybody likes sports. Marcel said that vape shops and other businesses decides what happens in towns. So we went to speak to an owner of a vape shop to see what he thought.
My name is Tim, and I own a shop that sells vape stuff, skateboards, Pokemon, sweets, coffee shop.
Do you sell more vapes or more Pokemon cards?
That is a really good question. I'd like to sell more of the skateboards and the Pokemon and the clothing, but the vaping pays the bills at this moment.
In the future, do you think you would make more stuff for kids or stuff for adults?
So the way I look at it is that I'm trying to branch out two ways. I have some other plans going the adult way, but if they work out, then I would like to have a whole skateboard shop. I would actually like to have a small gaming shop that doesn't just do Pokemon, but does all the other things, Dungeons and Dragons and everything else. And I'd like to do that in Leighton Buzzard because there isn't enough toy shops. There's only Argos.
Do you think there should be more kids stuff?
Of course there should be more children's stuff. I mean, if you think about it, there's a lot of green areas or in concrete areas that are not used. There's shops that are free. They're more than happy to give them over to charity shops. I'm not saying it's bad, but there's a lot more charity shops than there need to be. There's probably more vape shops. There's more of everything. There's like 6 million coffee shops. There's some of these shops that are sitting here that have sat here for You know, in the 5 years I've been here, they've not been used. They could be used for something. I mean, I could take one of those empty shops and have it just as a game shop. But you imagine, if you start having things like that here, more people would want to come to our town.
We still didn't know how to make more fun things for kids in town. So we decided to speak to an artist who might help.
Holly Darton is from a company called Hunt and Darton, who makes fun things happen in empty shops.
What's your favourite project that you've done?
So Hunt and Darton Cafe was pretty amazing. That was where we set up a real working cafe in empty shops on the high street. And I really like the project we're doing at the moment as well, which is called Kids Business. The kids come in and we say, if you could make any business in your town, what kind of business do you want to do? And they come up with loads of bonkersly brilliant ideas. And then we have a vote and then we make it happen for real. And then the kids come back and work in the project.
Can you give us some advice how to make the following things? A sweet shop.
Could do something a bit radical, like just set up a temporary sweet shop, you know, on the back of a trolley or on your bike or something, and just park up in the middle of your town centre. And the more people you have saying this is a really good idea, that's very powerful. So then when you start talking to like estate agents to see if you can get the empty shop or the local council, you can say, look, we've spoken to 100 local people and everyone thinks this sweet shop's a brilliant idea. This is what the local people want in their town. Let's make it happen.
An infinite ball pit.
That's nice. I like it. Do you want to know how I do it? Well, you can be quite clever, couldn't you? You could use loads of mirrors. Have you ever been to one of those art installations where it's like a mirror room and it just looks like that? Yourself just keeps going on and on and on. Yeah. That'd be quite cool. So you could have like a mirrored floor and mirrored walls and then fill it with balls. So it wouldn't actually be infinite, but it would give that sense of like never ending.
Or you could just fill it with ball pit balls and then just go dig down until the earth's crust.
That also would be very cool. I think you should all get together on a Saturday and just set something up in your town centre. Suddenly people will just, you know, be inspired and wake up their brains to other ways of using empty shops. Would be really cool.
I thought that what Holly said was really good because she gave us a lot of ideas how to make some more kid stuff. The job of artists is really interesting.
This is Jake, Henry, Lucy, Sophia from News.
And since that report was completed, no new vape shop have opened in the town centre. What do you think about the town centre, Renee?
I think that it's amazing that no more vape shops have been opening because they take up a lot of room.
Interesting.
We've just received this breaking news. Sammy's favourite food is pasta. And now I'm handing over to Joey for the weather. Joey?
Thanks, Renee. I'm walking down some steps. More steps. I can see my sister. I'm walking up the doors. I'm walking down the steps in the library. I see pictures. I see green handles. I see steps, loads of steppy steps. I see doors. I see a roof. I see more pictures. I see more steps. I see the library's closed, so it's quite dark down here, but that's fine. Right, I'm at the bottom. I'm walking out the library doors. It's quite chilly out here. I see
houses, I see trees, buildings, and the weather feels quite warm. It feels a bit warm and a bit cold, that mixture. I can see a clock in somebody's work office. I'm not sure what it says. It's probably wrong. That's it. That's all for the weather. Back to you in the studio, Renee.
Thanks, Joey. And now a special investigation into underground Leighton Buzzard from Chloe, Joey, Martha and Noah.
We wanted to know what's under Leighton Buzzard. It said that sometimes there's tunnels from the church to High Street, and we wanted to find out this is true. To begin, we wanted to speak to people who dug under Leighton Buzzard. We met Dexter David from the Bedfordshire Council Streetworks team.
What is under Leighton Buzzard?
Underneath the roads everywhere that we are, there's always sort of cables and pipes, and those cables and pipes, they bring you services like your water, your gas, your electricity, like is shown in some of the pictures that I brought for you. And they have different colours. The green and the grey there would be telecoms cables. It's a hard job because there's so much in the ground right now, and so they have to be very careful whenever they start digging.
How many bodies do you think are on the ground under Leighton Buzzard?
How many?
Bodies.
Well, that's a tricky one because I'm not sure how many people have lived here in the past, but I've never seen any dead bodies or in the ground as yet.
Dexter told us a lot about wires and cables.
But Dexter didn't know anything about secret tunnels. So we went to All Saints Church where the tunnels are supposed to be and spoke to Terry Warburton, a church elder.
Do you know if there are secret tunnels under Leighton Buzzard?
Well, do you know what? I had a feeling somebody had asked me this. I've been asked this again and again. I don't know whether there are any. I haven't found any. We have looked a little bit, so the answer is I don't know, but I don't know of any, that's for sure.
If there was, what do you reckon there would be in there?
Well, I think there'd be nothing in them at the moment, but what we thought might be in them, if there were tunnels, there might be some of the goods from the church. We know we had a big revolution here in England. You've heard about the Commonwealth period when we had a rebellion in England? Well, this church was affected by it, and it might be that they stored some of the valuables of the church in the tunnels, but we don't know. We've never found them, so we don't know. But I'll tell you what, we have a cellar, a small, very small cellar right at the other end of the church that was dug about 150 years ago to put a boiler in to help the heating of the church, and we can't use it anymore because it's dangerous. But when we were down there, we broke the wall down at one end of it to see if there was a tunnel on the other side of it. But there wasn't. There was just lots of soil and worms.
When you dig up the ground to put coffins in, did you find anything interesting?
Well, we've told you some of the things we found. We do find things, but most of the things we find are things that we expect to find. If you dug deep down in the ground, you'd find lots of bones. When you go outside church, you look as you go down the path towards the gate, and you'll find the banks either side are really quite high. And they're high because so many people have been buried in this churchyard. Thousands and thousands. Probably a town the size of Leighton Buzzard is buried in this churchyard for 1,000 years. And the church has been the most important building in Leighton Buzzard for all that time. And all the people that lived here expected to be, first of all, christened here or baptised. Then they expect to come back and be married. And then they come back on their last journey when they die before they're buried, and they're buried in the churchyard. And that's what's happened for about 1,000 years.
Terry told us that the church goes all the way back to the beginning of Leighton Buzzard. We wondered if there was anything under Leighton Buzzard, which was even older than the town.
So we interviewed Tory Guy, a local archaeologist.
What does under Leighton Buzzard?
Just over the road we've got Paleolithic hand axes, which are early Stone Age hand axes. We've got Neolithic, which is new Stone Age. We've got spearheads from that. Where we're standing now was a Saxon burial ground. Underneath this lake was a Saxon burial ground, and that had burials that came with spearheads and shields and jewellery and necklaces, things like that. And one of the urns, one of the pots that was found here is now in the British Museum. So this area is particularly important for archaeology. So yes, lots.
Have you found any famous people underground?
I haven't found any famous people underground. I haven't found any people that I know the name of. But again, it's that connection with the person. If you're excavating somebody, they've still had a life, they're still a person, they're still really important. I've never excavated anybody in Leighton Buzzard, but if you did excavate one of these people that were in this Saxon graveyard here, you know that they would have had the same view. They would have looked at the Chilterns in the same way that we look at the Chilterns. They would know where the river is in the same way that we know the river is. So we have these connections with people in the past every day without even realising it.
How many bodies do you think are under Leighton Buzzard?
Ooh, that's a difficult question. Underneath Leighton Buzzard. So, if I'm going to do that, I would say that I'm not going to count the churchyard and I'm not going to count the cemetery because they're a little bit more modern. If we were talking about archaeologically, I would say that there's at least 200 people somewhere in Leighton Buzzard. That would be it's very much an estimate because, like I say, we don't know what's under there. But there are clearly people living around here, so they must be buried somewhere. So that would be my guess.
It turns out there's probably no secret tunnels under Leighton Buzzard. That makes me feel a bit disappointed. What Tori said there, she said that in medieval towns at Leighton Buzzard there was, but when Terry said there wasn't, I was surprised.
I was happy that there are no tunnels. We could have felt safer.
I think there still may be tunnels because Terry don't have any proof.
Even if there aren't any tunnels, there are also other things.
Dexter said that there was pipes underground. Terry said there were loads of bodies underground, and Tori said there was Anglo-Saxon burial grounds.
This is Martha, Chloe, Joey and Noah signing off. Bye.
Back to you in the studio.
Sports news now. Leighton Town beat London 6-0. MK Dons beat Cambridge United, and the break time match between Noah's team and Jake's team ended in a draw. In darts news, Henry went to the pub to play darts with his dad. Chloe played tag. Finally, on FIFA, Thea drew. Here's a clip. And that's the end of the sports news. Now back to Joey for an update on the weather.
Hi Renee, I'm just at the train station now. The weather is pretty much the same as it was earlier. I can see lots of train tracks and some people waiting for their trains. I can see benches, some steps going to platforms 1, 2 and 3, some wires for the electric trains. I can see a train coming. It's green, dark green, white, and it says London. It says London North Western Railway. Oh, I can see a yellow and red train.
There's loads! There's loads! How much are there? Still going! I think it's taking up the whole track. It's finally ended. That train was holding like 1 million cars, and it's finally ended. Really loud. You probably heard that. And it's just going. I see a man coming with an orange t-shirt. He looks like he's a fix man. He's gonna fix. And I see some plants. And that's all from me. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Joey. And now we turn to our final in-depth report of the evening. Our reporters have been finding out how people in Leighton Buzzard are being kind and helping each other. Here, with a special report, are Jake F., Rex, Tawana, and me.
The reason why we wanted to talk about kindness is because that when we hear the news on the radio or see the news, you don't really see a lot of kindness and a lot of respect. You only see
murder and... You do. But you know, you're going to see some kindness now because there's somebody coming here with a big donation. So there are people who are kind, who recognise that there's lots of trouble in the world. And you're right, a lot of things are on the news that make things feel, is there any kindness in the world? I completely agree with you. So your idea of focusing on kindness, I think, is very, very good.
We wanted to find out how people in Leighton Buzzard are being kind and helping each other.
We started by asking ourselves who the kindest people we know were.
The kindest people I know are Renee, Rex, Jake, and Martha.
Wana, my sister, my brother, Lois, Billy, Martha, and Rex and Jake. I think they're kind because they all are my friends, and Juan's the one that mostly plays with me. Rex and Jake make me laugh.
Because they always care about me and they make me laugh.
Being kind is important because if you treat someone how you want to be treated, and then they would treat you the way back, say you say hello to them and they will say hello back, and then you'll start getting to know each other. Other than our friends and family, the kindest people we know are our teachers. So we interviewed Mrs. Shaheen to find out what she knew about kindness.
What is it like to be a teacher?
Hard work. It's always, you never sit down and put your feet up. Even after you guys go home, your teachers are still working.
Do you think that teachers get paid enough?
Maybe not as much as they should, given how long they work. I mean, most people, they don't see all the hours that teachers put in before and after school.
What do you try and teach children about kindness?
Yes, I mean, I try to teach them to put themselves in other people's position and to treat people how they would like to be treated, and just to be aware of other people's needs. And you know, if it's a kind word they need, then that's what you give them.
Why are you kind?
Why am I kind? I don't know, I haven't really thought about that one. It's something that comes quite easily to me. And I think, like I said, it's something very positive. And sometimes it's not always easy to be kind, especially if people are showing you the opposite emotion. But I don't think losing your kindness is the solution to this. So I just continue to practice
After speaking to Mrs. Shaheen, we wanted to find out what other people did to help. So we went into town to ask them.
Do you think being kind is important?
Oh, very important. Probably one of the most important things in life.
How do you help people?
I help my family every day. I help my friends. I'm helping my friend do his garden at the minute, and just anything I can do really.
Well, where do I start? In many ways, helping them out. I've got a lot of elderly relatives. I go and visit them, help them out, do their shopping. Lots of things.
Do you think kindness is important?
Definitely.
How do you help people?
Trying to think, how do I help people? Shopping. I don't know.
So I help people daily, really, in any ways they need it. So if someone just needs a friend, then I'll come and be their friend.
Do you think rich people are kind?
Rich people?
Yeah.
Some are. I don't think the money makes someone kinder or less kind. I think it's the quality of your heart.
Well, what people said made me happy and get to kind of know them more and also see how kind they are. But to find out how much people in Leighton Buzzard are really trying to help people, we wanted to go to a food bank. I just wanted to see the experience of what it's like to be in a food bank.
We went to interview Rosie George at the Leighton Linslade Community Food Bank.
Just before we interviewed, Rosie got an important phone call.
Why don't you come now? If you come now, then that would be fine. Okay, we'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, all right then, thanks. Okay, so can I explain what happened there then? Okay, so that telephone call was important. It's come from a place called the Children's Centre, and they have family workers there. So what this lady has just phoned, can she come straight away because a family are in trouble? They haven't got the food that they need, and it's a family of 6 people, so there are 4 children, and those children are not going to have enough food tonight unless we help them. And that's how important this is. And that phone call will come through any time of the day, and that's part of my job, to answer that.
Do you like working for the food bank, and if so, why?
I do like working for the food bank. I find it sometimes quite sad because I see a lot of people who I don't think should really have to use a food bank. But the things have got so expensive now in this country, in lots of parts of the world, but it means that people who could afford to buy food are no longer able to as they did. So I find that quite sad. But what I always think is how lucky we are we have a town like this that shows so much generosity and kindness. People who are donating and helping here will maybe never meet the people they're helping, never meet the people who are being kind. So it's a job that I really feel is important, and I like being involved with it because I know I'm helping people.
What makes you care about poor people?
I think when you are a person in the world, you really should be able to help other people, otherwise you're not being a good human being, are you? And I think it's important that when we are kind to others, we are doing something that we should be doing. It's not something extra, it's how we should really be living, isn't it?
The thing that I remember the most was packing the food in the food bank.
I learned that whoever you are, and if you're rich or poor, you can be kind.
This is Renee, Tawana, Jake and Rex.
Be kind and smile on.
Back to you in the studio.
We're coming to the end of this evening's show, so let's go back to Joey for one last update on tonight's weather. Joey?
Hi Renee, I've just walked all the way home now, and the weather is the same as it was last time. I'm just going to open my door. Now I'm just going to make a cup of tea. I can see a tap. I can see My conservatory. I could see a table, a fridge, a dishwasher and a microwave. Actually, I'm going to get a biscuit with my tea. I'm going to go in the living room to get my football. I'm doing some keepy uppies. I've kicked it away, but I promised I didn't kick it into the TV. So I'll just walk out the living room to make sure nobody recognised. Now I'm going to sit down on my sofa. Oh, that's comfy. Now I'm going to watch the TV. That's all for the weather. Back to you in the studio, Renee.
It's nearly time for us to leave you, but before we do, we have just enough time to take a look at the headlines from tomorrow's papers. Heavy traffic on Leighton Road. Drivers are advised to find alternative routes. Joey is having a nap. Noah's dog played with other dogs. Everyone in Leighton Buzzard is forced to stay home. Some pineapple is put on a pizza. All the children in Year 5 are getting ready to go into Year 6. Rex's dad wouldn't get off the phone. A light keeps turning on and off for no reason. Leighton Buzzard to launch a new festival of colours. Monsters spotted under beds. A flying whale explodes in the sky. War in Europe. Underage children spotted watching a scary movie. Russia invades England. Everybody in Leighton Buzzard has to take a maths test. A cat is stuck in a child's nose. The world's first flying car launches into Leighton Buzzard. Flying cars are falling out of the sky all over Leighton Buzzard. Children grow up and learn to drive. Dance party. Leighton Buzzard chosen for the launch of a new iPhone 10,000. Joey buys a house. Pink dolphins. New Leighton Town Stadium finally opens. A crumb of crisp gets put in the garbage. A pinch of salt gets put in the ocean. New school opens where children teaches themselves. A flying volcano lands on New York City. The statue of Joey is unveiled outside London Wembley Stadium. The world's hardest math equation is finally solved. The news is made child-friendly. A rainbow sloth climbs to the top of a rainbow. All the flying cars in Leighton Buzzard have been mended. Flying hoverboards invented. The murder has been solved. Humans wear jetpacks and fly to space for the first time. A new colour is discovered. People are learning how to fly. Scientists discover the end of the rainbow. Parrots the size of Big Ben seen flying across London. Rainbow lights up the world. A rainbow has exploded. The world has turned colourful. A huge lump of gold is discovered under Leighton Buzzard. animals could talk all along. An earthquake destroys Beaudesert Lower School. Jesus comes back to life. Every car blows up. Every country is flooded. Dinosaurs have returned. Dinosaurs take over. Hedgehogs become pets. All the money has run out. Dinosaurs have returned. Dinosaurs take over. Chocolate has become extinct. Dogs begin hibernating. A black hole sucks up the earth. The world explodes. And that's all for tomorrow's headlines. Thank you for watching News. Have a very good evening.